Hi, my name's Peter Bliss and I'm here with Holistic Services Group. And look, I want to talk to you today. My topic is don't expect to stay calm, stay connected. And the reason I'm doing that topic is a couple of reasons. About 4 to 6 weeks ago, I was stressed myself and I teach stress management and mindfulness. And I couldn't sleep one night and I got up and I wrote an article. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And the article was titled, the name of this topic, Don't Expect to Stay Calm, Stay Connected. And the reason I was inspired to write the article was that I sort of got a bit sick of many leaders and gurus and health experts and celebrities and TV personalities all telling us during this pandemic to stay calm. Now, look, I understand their intention, but to me, it's impossible to stay calm in these turbulent times. Staying calm is not the objective or the outcome. So yes, you might have moments of calm if you're practicing, stress management techniques, and I'm going to teach you some in this little workshop. But you'll more than likely notice moments of fear, of anxiety, of depression, of panic, of overwhelm, and even aggression. And guess what? That's totally normal in these times. Or when you're being bombarded from the outside by, stressful events. So I guess my first message is that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to panic. It's okay to be depressed sometimes. The key, in my view, is not to avoid these feelings of panic and fear, but to learn to self-regulate in the midst of all these feelings and connect with yourself internally. And that's hence the key to my topic. Don't expect to stay calm, stay connected with self. So in this little presentation, I just want to give you some true science behind stress and fear and overwhelm. I'm going to teach you the 4 things that you can control. And I'm going to teach you a couple of simple techniques which will help you regulate your central nervous system, during these times. Because what happens when we're scared or fearful or stressed or anxious, we tend to orient externally or outside of ourselves to look for answers. But it's an inside job. That's my, key message. Our sense of safety, our neuroception of safety, in fact it's called, is an inside job. And that's what this talk is about. So I'm going to first teach you a very simple technique which actually activates the vagus nerve, which is the largest nerve in the body. It's a big nerve that sort of starts at the back of the head here, and it winds its way around the front of the throat and down through the thorax and all the front part of the body, and sort of connects all the organs in the body. The vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. And when all this stuff is going on around us outside, the quickest way to activate the vagus nerve, which also then activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, digest and relax component of the autonomic nervous system, is to simply take a longer out-breath than in-breath. So I'll say that again. If you simply just take a short in-breath and then a longer out-breath, in fact like a sigh, then you'll activate the vagus nerve, which puts the neural brakes on. The anxiety, the stress, whatever it is that you're feeling. And the trick is to try and have sort of one foot in those feelings and then the other foot in your own self-regulation. And true mindfulness is the ability to do that. It's not to try and get rid of all those feelings, it's to experience them and be connected and stay connected to yourself while you're in those moments. So the first technique I want to teach you is longer out breaths, shorter in breaths. And the best one I know, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but is to sigh. So we're just going to start by sighing. So if you just take a big long in breath, a shorter in breath, and then a big long out breath. It's a little bit of science. That's a little technique. I just want to talk about quickly the 4 things that you can control. And especially in these times, but really any time, there's only 4 things that are in your control. And they are your perceptions of what's going on, your decisions, your actions, and the 4th one is, we've already sort of talked about, your breath. And that's really the only part of the autonomic nervous system that you have control over, your breath, that you're in control of that. So they're the only 4 things that you can control. Most of what's going on around us right now is out of our control. Unless you're a politician, unless you're a medical expert, unless you're a maybe an expert in something that can have an effect internationally. Most of us, we're sort of stuck in lockdown or stuck doing what we're doing, and we're doing what we can, but most of it's out of our control. So the best way that you can get through these times and any stressful time and build your own resilience is to control your central nervous system, to take control of yourself and to regulate yourself internally. I know you've all been on aeroplanes, and whenever an aeroplane is in stress and the oxygen masks come down, and they teach us this every time we take off in an airplane, what do they tell us to do first? They tell us, especially if we've got kids with us, to put our own masks on first and regulate ourselves first. That's what they're more or less saying to us, before we can then help our children. So it's the same here in this situation. If you want to help your family, your children, your clients, your staff, the best way to do that is to take control yourself first. So that's how you can control your neuroception of safety. And it's all perception, but it's an inside job. So once you've activated your vagus nerve through taking a longer out breath than in breath, then the second tip I want to give you is simply this, and we'll do another little technique right now, and I'll demonstrate what we're going to do, and it's simply this. We're going to take a big deep breath in. We're then going to hold the breath for about the same length as the in-breath and squeeze and tense every muscle in the body, and then we're going to breathe out for about the same length as the in-breath. So let's do a couple more of those. So we're breathing in. Let's say count to 4 as you breathe in. Hold and squeeze 4. And then breathe out for 4. One more. Breathe in. Hold, squeeze, tense every muscle in the body for 4. And then breathe out for 4. So now what we're doing is very different to what I did before. We're now consciously balancing the in-breath and balancing the out-breath. So we're balancing the sympathetic, which is the stress response, and the parasympathetic, which is the rest, digest, and relax response. So we're balancing our breath, we're deepening our breath. When we balance our breath, it's that simple. We're also balancing our emotions, which is the limbic part of the brain, which is the sort of the second evolution of the brain. The most evolved part of the brain, as I said before, is this part right behind the forehead here called the prefrontal cortex, or the telencephalon it's called. The way to activate that is through the breath, through initially lengthening the out breath and then eventually balancing the breath. And then when you balance the breath, you'll activate that, you'll override wisely. If you activate that, the more you activate that, you access your wisdom, your reason, your intuition, your inspiration, true love, your vision, the answers, all the solutions, everything you need is right there within you. You activate the connection between your higher part of your brain, your voice, your heart. It's all there within you, especially in these times if it's activated. But if you're back in your hindbrain, your reptilian brain, which is where your instinct and your impulses are, where you're just avoiding pain and seeking pleasure, and look, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's a choice. And it's your choice where you play the game of resilience, the game of managing your emotions, the game of managing your stress, the game of resilience. It's up to you. So that's taken about 15 minutes. So it goes pretty quickly. But look, that's really all I wanted to say today. I just wanted to give you some simple messages. I just wanted to give you a couple of really simple techniques to help you regulate yourself and regulate your central nervous system and activate your prefrontal cortex. And a little bit of science, I hope that made sense, of sort of what's happening in the brain and in the body when you're perceiving stress. And stress is all perception, by the way. There's actually distress and eustress. There's actually positive stress and a negative stress. So again, it's all based on your perception. So just to summarise, you can only change 4 things. You're only responsible for 4 things. Your perceptions of what's going on in your life right now, your decisions, your actions, and your breath. And if you learn to, through the breath, activate that prefrontal cortex and override the amygdala, the stress response, then you're in a much better position to make much more wiser decisions, much more intuitive decisions. You're able to respond. And when you activate that vision, when the vision and the voice on the inside and your heart is connected, when that's greater and louder than all the distractions and all the opinions on the outside, then you've truly begun to master your life, your resilience. So don't expect to stay calm. Stay connected to yourself. And hopefully those few little tips have helped you understand how to connect to yourself, because that's really what matters. Thank you for your time. And if we've got any questions,